Hi there, this is Miss Pulliam. Welcome to Library with Miss Pulliam. This is for week 16, and today we are going to read a book called The Social Butterfly. And I'm sure a lot of you have been called a social butterfly before and can relate or have connections to the characters in the story. First of all, the book is written by Beth Bracken, so she is the author, and the illustrator is Sofia Cardoza. And Sofia is the illustrator, and the illustrator is the artist who does the pretty pictures. So let's see what we're up against here. Actually, it's funny because in the book here it says, for Charlotte and Etta, my two favorite chatterboxes. All right. And it says, from my school teachers that said I chatted too much, and from my friends whose textbooks were filled with random doodles during class. Very cute. Okay, Charlotte loved being with her friends. She loved playing dolls with Lily and dress up with Ella, and playing house with Ben, and trucks with her friend Max. And Charlotte was quite good at making new friends too. She made friends at the store, at the library, and at school. Sound familiar? Charlotte loved school. She loved learning, and she loved being with her friends. But sometimes she tried to do both at the same time. What do you think about that? You think that's going to work? Talking while the teacher's talking? Trying to learn and hear? Your friends trying to learn and hear and having a conversation? During morning meetings, she kind of listened to Miss Flora, but she mostly whispered with her friends. Sound like anyone you know? Maybe you were caught doing this once or twice. At reading time, Charlotte finished her book. She wanted to talk with Etta, but when she was talking, Etta couldn't read. Then it was math time. Charlotte was one of the first to finish the worksheet. She wanted to sing with Max, but when she was singing, Max couldn't focus on adding. And when it was lunchtime, Charlotte was so busy talking and laughing with Lily and Ben that none of them had time to eat. That meant all three of them were really hungry after recess. The next day was show and share. But Charlotte didn't know that. She hadn't been paying attention during morning meeting the day before. She didn't have anything to share, and neither did Etta because they'd been talking instead of listening. How do you think that makes them feel when everybody else is ready to do their show and tell and share what they have and they don't have anything? Do you think they're happy? Think they're sad? I bet they're sad. When Charlotte finished her book at reading time, she started talking to Etta. Charlotte, Etta cried, I can't read when you're talking. After Charlotte finished the day's math worksheet, she started to tell Max a joke. Charlotte, Max said, I can't count when you're talking. So her friends are getting a little upset, aren't they? At lunchtime, Charlotte sat between Etta and Ben. Before she could even open her mouth, Ben said, my mom says I shouldn't talk at lunch anymore. I was so hungry yesterday that I was kind of a handful. So when he says he was kind of a handful, he was grumpy, wasn't he? He went home all grumpy and ugly because he was hungry because they were talking and he didn't get to finish his lunch. During recess, Charlotte talked to Miss Flora. My friends don't like me today, Charlotte said. That's not true, Miss Flora said. Your friends like you. Then why don't they want to talk to me? Charlotte asked. Now Charlotte's crying. Have you ever felt like your friends don't like you? It makes you sad, doesn't it? What's your favorite thing about school? Miss Flora asked Charlotte. Well, that's easy. Reading and math. And being with my friends, said Charlotte. Your friends like those things too, Miss Flora said. But when someone's talking to them, they can't learn. I think I get it, Charlotte said. The next day, Charlotte sat behind Lily during morning meeting, but she didn't talk. Charlotte sat still and listened. She sat next to Etta during reading time. Charlotte sat still and listened. Charlotte sat next to Lily during math. She waited until Lily finished her worksheet before she told her a joke. She ate lunch next to Ben. They talked a little, but they finished all of their food. And when it was time to go outside, Charlotte was ready to run, talk, sing, and play. And so were her friends. The end. So let's talk about that. Charlotte is a social butterfly, or a chatterbox. She likes to be social. She likes to talk with her friends and hang out. But we have to remember that there's a time for playing and a time for learning, right? Okay. I bet a lot of us can think of ways that we are like Charlotte. And we saw in the book that Charlotte learned a lesson, and near the end she changed and she talked a little bit, but she made sure that during the lessons that she was quiet, and during lunch she talked a little bit but make sure that she could eat and her friends could eat too. So she did learn a big lesson, right? So is Charlotte a good friend? What do you think? I think Charlotte is learned what a good friend is and how to be a good friend. And I'd like you to think for a minute about being a good friend. What else makes a good friend? A good friend is somebody who you sit and talk to and you enjoy being with, but what else? I bet that you guys can come up with a whole list of things that that your substitute can write on the board, and you can come up with a whole list of things that would make a good friend, because you guys are good friends. And you can talk and turn to a friend and talk about what you thought about the book, and if Charlotte and if you felt that she was a good friend, and if you had any connection to this story, because I know a lot of you would have a connection to this story. We know somebody in class who might do this or did, was like this, but they've learned and they're doing better. Okay, I hope you like that story. I'm going to change it up a little bit today. First, it's time to stretch. I'm feeling like I need a good stretch. So let's put our hands in the air. Put those arms up and reach up high. Touch the sky. Okay, now we're going to grab a star and pull it down. Good. And up and down and up and down. Good. Now, Well, we're seated. We can move our feet. I am marching in place as I am sitting right now. That's why I'm moving back and forth. You see me moving a little bit. So it's kind of like jogging, right? We can jog in our seat. So I'm kind of moving my feet up and down. And now we can move our arms, our shoulders. There's nothing like rubbing our shoulders, taking them out, up and back. And put your head down, take up and back with your shoulders, and you'll feel how good that feels on your back. And then you can do it the other way, toward the front, toward the front. A little harder to do that way. All right, now let's do some twists. We've got to twist a little bit. Twist to the left, twist to the right, twist to the left, to the right. One more. Twist to the left, twist to the right. Ooh, that felt good. I hope that felt good for you too. Okay, now let's see what I have over here. I have a fun book. It's one of my favorite books, and I'd love to share it with you. It's called The Napping House. And I know a lot of you know this story, and it's a fun story. The Napping House is by Audrey Wood, and it's illustrated by Don Wood. So most likely that's husband and wife, and one of them is the artist, and one of them is the storyteller. All right, shall we start? It's a nice big book, too. Here we go. There is a house, a napping house, where everyone is sleeping. Here's the house. And in that house, there is a bed, a cozy bed, in a napping house where everyone is sleeping. Hopefully you can see this good. And on that bed, there is a granny, a snoring granny, on a cozy bed in a napping house where everyone is sleeping. See the snoring granny? And on that granny, there's a child, a dreaming child, on a snoring granny, on a cozy bed, in a napping house where everyone is sleeping. So we can see Granny on the cozy bed, and on top of her is the dreaming child. What's next? Let's see. And on that child, there's a dog, a dozing dog, on a dreaming child, on a snoring granny, on a cozy bed, in a napping house where everyone is sleeping. And on that dog, there's a cat, a snoozing cat, on a dozing dog, on a dreaming child, on a snoring granny, on a cozy bed, in a napping house where everyone is sleeping. Bed's getting full, isn't it? So we've got Granny, we've got the child, the dog, the cat. What next? Let's see what else. And on that cat, there is a mouse, a slumbering mouse, on a snoozing cat, on a dozing dog, on a dreaming child, on a snoring granny, on a cozy bed, in a napping house where everyone is sleeping. And on that mouse, there is a flea. Can it be? A wakeful flea. That means he's not sleeping. On a slumbering mouse, on a snoring cat, on a dozing dog, on a dreaming child, on a snoring granny, on a comfy bed. Oh, it's a cozy bed, comfy too. In a napping house where everyone is sleeping. Let's see. A wakeful flea who bites the mouse. Uh-oh, that's not nice, is it? Oh, what happened here? Hold on. There we go. Okay. See that? See the mouse? The mouse jumped, right? Well, if the mouse jumps and squeals, what's going to happen, do you think? Think you'll wake anybody else up? We're about to find out. Okay, who scares the cat? What's the cat do? The cat shrieks, right? So look, he's scared. Scared him. Woke him right up and scared him. Who claws the dog? So the cat got scared and clawed at the dog, and that looks like it hurts. What in the world? Sorry, hold on one second. Here we go. Okay. That doesn't look too good. That looks painful, doesn't it? All right, next. Who thumps the child? So now the cat thumps the child. Who bumps the granny? Oh no. Do you think they're going to wake Granny up? Let's see. Who breaks the bed? Oh my goodness. In the napping house, where no one is now sleeping. The end. What a fun story. What an awesome, fun story. First of all, one of the things is you start with Granny. Granny was snoring, right? So there was the snoring Granny. Let's see if we can remember it. Let's see, a cozy bed, snoring Granny. What came next? A dreaming child. And then, oh, there was a dozing dog, and a slumbering cat. And what was on the cat? The mouse was on the cat. And what was on the mouse? A flea. So it all happened because of a flea. Can you believe that? The bed broke because of a flea. Does that make sense? That's pretty silly, isn't it? Because a flea doesn't weigh much of anything to break a bed, does it? No. You know, a book like this, even for students who are in the upper grades, you can still enjoy a book like this, and it'll still make you think of things like how to change this. And I want you guys to think about this. So if you were going to do a story yourself, and you guys can very well do that, is come up with a story, maybe break off into pairs, you know, work with somebody or a group at a table. But you can do a story just like this, and that would be so much fun. As I was reading this, and I was thinking, well, what if there was a hippo? A big, huge hippo. Or a big, smelly pig. In all muddy. And on top of the pig, let's see, what could there be? What could be on top of the pig? Let's see. A cow. Could be a cow. So we can think of ways to change the story up. And if we did that, what would we be doing to this story? What would we be doing? What's that called? Remember, it's like a break. It's called a fracture. Right, we fracture. We break it, and we change it around a little bit and make it fun And we can make it very silly if we want to. So I challenge you to get together with a friend or a group of friends and make your own story. And it, you can use your imaginations because you guys have great imaginations. Think about this. Maybe there was an alien, and on top of the alien, there was something else, or maybe there was a dinosaur. So if we think of it like that and change things around, it could be pretty funny. Maybe if it was a dinosaur, maybe it sat down on a house, and the roof started to shake, and then something else sat on top, and something else, right? What does that remind you of when we have things, one thing, and it stacks upon another and upon another and upon another? And then remember the word topple? If everything goes like this, goes higher and higher, and then all of a sudden, it might be heavy on the top and it will topple right over, right? So if we built our snowman or we built something out of blocks and it was small on the bottom and it gets heavy, well, yeah, after a while it's going to go and topple over. Okay, I love this story and I hope you guys liked it as well. And at this time, you still have a few minutes, so it's a good time for our younger friends to sit and talk about what makes a good friend. And our older friends could do that as well. You know, what makes you a good friend? You can turn and talk to a buddy. What makes you a good friend? Or what makes a good friend? Or what do you look for in a good friend? We can also talk about the napping house. It's fun and silly. But we can also think about different ways that we can change it around and make it extra fun and extra silly. I look forward to hearing some of those silly stories that you guys come up with. Enjoy and have a wonderful day. It's good to see you guys. This is Miss Pulliam, and I will see you soon. Remember, my friends, keep reading. And make sure you're taking the time to read out loud. When you're at home, when you're in your room, when you're in the house, you might read to your grandma on the computer or on the phone. You might read a book to a brother or a sister. Or even, hold on. Here we go. You might even want to read a story to your puppy dog or your pet, whatever your pet may be. This is Duncan, and Duncan likes a good story. Who doesn't, right? And he likes to socialize too. So we said the social butterfly. Well, Duncan likes to go and meet with our neighbors, and he likes to visit and socialize as well. Not so much with other dogs, though. All right, friends. I am going to leave you at the moment. Duncan says goodbye and keep reading. Take care.